As I near my parents' driveway in Buckhead, I reduce my speed to a crawl, gripping the steering wheel tightly. It's been 6 months since I willingly subjected myself to this particular form of torture. The brick Colonial remains unchanged, with its impeccable landscaping, flawless shutters, and a palpable aura of judgment emanating from every window. Taking a deep breath, I park behind my father's Mercedes and glance at my reflection in the rearview mirror. My makeup is flawless and my hair is perfectly in place. My protective armor is ready. The foyer greets me with the scent of furniture polish and my mother's pricey perfume. I follow the sounds of commotion into the dining room, where Eleanor Walker is fussing over the arrangement of sterling silver serving spoons. "Rachel, you're here," she says, barely glancing at me. There's no hug or warm greeting, just a simple acknowledgement. "Would you set out the water glasses? Your father's almost finished with the brisket." I nod and move towards the china cabinet, taking in the room as I go. Family photographs adorn the walnut sideboard, predominantly showcasing my brother Preston in various triumphs: a Harvard graduation, a finance award, a handshake with the mayor. Only one photo of me exists, tucked away in the corner from my high school graduation. My father enters from the kitchen, carving knife in hand and a look of pride on his flushed face. "Sunday brisket is almost ready," he announces without directly addressing me, clad in his Kiss the Cook apron, which Preston gifted him years ago. "It smells amazing," I lie, aware that Arthur Walker's brisket is infamous for being dry, an unspoken family tradition. Mom circles the table for the third time, adjusting napkins. "Preston should be here any minute. He texted about being delayed due to a call with Tokyo." Of course Preston can be late. The golden boy's time is precious. As if on cue, the front door swings open, and Preston's booming voice fills the house. "Hello, family." He strides into the dining room in a tailored navy suit that likely cost more than my rent. Even on a Sunday, he's dressed as if heading to a boardroom. Mom's face lights up. "There he is," she exclaims, rushing to embrace him while Dad claps him on the shoulder. "Sorry I'm late," Preston says, loosening his tie. "Had to wrap up some details on that Kensington acquisition." Dad beams with pride. "That's my boy. Always closing deals." We gather around the table. Dad at the head, Mom on his right, Preston left, and me facing an empty wall. Dad carves the brisket while Mom passes dishes with the precision of an experienced host. "So, Preston," Dad begins, serving him the choicest cut, "how's life treating Atlanta's financial wonder boy?" "Can't complain," Preston laughs, accepting the plate. "Just closed another funding round, 8 figures. He takes a thoughtful bite of brisket. "Actually, I've been looking at some real estate." Mom perks up. "Oh, where?" "West Paces. There's a modern place just listed at $5.2 million. Floor-to-ceiling windows, a floating staircase. The works." He gestures with his fork. "Perfect bachelor pad." Dad whistles low, impressed. "That's prime territory. I've got a viewing on Tuesday." Preston continues. "Should be able to make an offer by week's end." Mom and Dad exchange proud glances. I push food around my plate, the dry brisket choking me. "What about you, Rachel?" Mom asks, almost as an afterthought. "How's that little online shop of yours?" I sip my water and reply, "Actually, I've been house hunting too." Silence fills the space for 2 seconds before all three burst into laughter. "Good one, sis," Preston says, wiping his mouth with a napkin, while Dad's expression shifts from amusement to concern. "Your little online store is cute, Rachel, but it's more of a hobby. Time for a real job," he says. Mom tries to protest, but her voice lacks conviction. Preston reclines in his chair with that infuriating smugness I've known all my life. "Stick to your trinkets, sis. Leave the big moves to the adults." I remain silent, my face carefully neutral. "In fact," Preston continues, reaching for his wine, "I'm considering investing in a new e-commerce player, Modern Hearth. That's the future. They're going to crush all the little hobby stores." A memory pierces me. At 20, nervously presenting a meticulously crafted 5-page business plan to Dad in his study. "What do you think?" it asked, my hopes soaring. Dad skimmed it for 30 seconds before patting my head. "Cute, sweetheart," while Preston had just secured a deal with Goldman Sachs. That night, I'd vowed silently to never share my dreams with them again. Years followed of lonely nights in the garage at 2 a.m., packing boxes on my own, losing my $50,000 life savings to a supplier who vanished, and juggling 3 jobs to rebuild while pretending my business was merely a cute side project. Present day, Mom slides a store-bought pecan pie my way. "Have some dessert, dear. You're looking thin." I offer a smile, the shield I perfected over the years. It doesn't reach my eyes, but they never notice. If only they knew the Perennial House made $35 million last year, that the trinkets Preston mocks are featured in design magazines and celebrity homes, that my hobby employs 47 people who truly respect me. "I should get going," I say, standing up. "I've got work tomorrow." Preston snorts. "Playing store, huh? While we engage in real business." Mom follows me to the door, pressing a foil-wrapped package into my hands. "Leftovers for you. Since you probably don't cook much." I accept with that same practiced smile, exchange the usual pleasantries, and escape to my car. My hands tremble slightly as I grip the steering wheel, and for the first time in years, something within me shifts, a clarity I've been avoiding. "Enough," I whisper to the empty car, reaching for my phone and dialing Reese. "How was family dinner?" his familiar voice asks without preamble. "Preston wants to buy a house on West Paces. $5.2 million. Reese pauses. "And," take a deep breath. "I want it." The words taste like freedom. The house. And everything else they think I can't have. I hear the smile in his voice. It's about time. It's time for them to learn what you can build with trinkets. I end the call as the road stretches ahead of me. The Perennial House headquarters doesn't look like a hobby business. It looks like success. On Monday morning, Reese Thornton stands by the floor-to-ceiling windows of Rachel's downtown Atlanta office, surveying the empire she's built. Modern white furniture contrasts with vibrant pieces from their latest collection, elegant home goods artfully displayed on floating shelves, each item a silent rebuke of anyone who ever called them trinkets. He glances back at the quarterly reports revealing consistent growth and impressive profit margins that would leave Preston in disbelief. 8 figures, not a hobby but an empire. The wall behind Reese's desk showcases what Rachel has never shown her family. Framed magazine covers displaying Perennial House products, industry awards, and press clippings. The elevator doors part as Rachel walks in, still in her dinner attire. Her expression has shifted from the careful neutrality at her parents' table to something sharper and more focused. "How bad was it?" Reese inquires, already knowing the answer. "Preston's looking at a house on West Paces for $5.2 million, she reports, dropping her purse onto a chair. "They laughed when I mentioned I was house hunting too." Reese scowls, despite never meeting the Walkers. He's heard enough to feel disdain. A staff member approaches with fabric swatches, hesitating at Rachel's expression before proceeding. "Sorry to interrupt, but the Milan samples just arrived. Thought you'd want to see them immediately." Rachel's demeanor softens. "Thank you, Amber." She inspects the swatches, approvingly running her fingers over them. "These are perfect for spring. Arrange a production meeting tomorrow." Amber nods and departs. The interaction speaks volumes. Respect, not condescension. 5 years, Reese remarks, returning to their conversation. 5 years we've been building this, and they still think you're just playing store. Rachel walks to the windows, gazing out at the Atlanta skyline. "What kills me is that Preston mentioned investing in Modern Hearth. Our biggest competitor." Reese cringes at the mention. "He's trying to crush my business without even knowing it's mine," she says, her determination evident. Reese thinks back to when they first met. He was a disillusioned consultant, she was a determined woman with vision. When she offered him the CEO position, everyone thought she was crazy to leave her 6-figure salary for a startup. everyone except Rachel. The house on West Paces, Reese starts slowly. You want it. I can afford it, she asserts, stating it as fact. Reese leans against his desk. But what happens when they find out? When Preston realizes his little sister outbid him? Rachel walks to a wall displaying their company vision board, her fingers tracing the projected growth charts and planned product lines. I've spent years protecting their feelings, Reese. I'm done. He observes her, recognizing the shift. This isn't the hurt daughter from dinner. This is the CEO who built an 8-figure business from the ground up. This isn't about revenge, she continues, her voice steady. It's about recognizing my worth. By hiding my success, I've enabled their dismissal. You don't owe them anything, Reese reminds her. True, she nods. But I owe myself this. Clarity floods her eyes. If Preston wants that house as a symbol of success, let him find another symbol. This one is mine. Reese nods, reaching for his laptop. Let me pull up the listing. Hours later, they're still in the conference room with coffee cups scattered everywhere. Reese rolls up his sleeves, tie loosened, scrolling through property details. Good news, he announces. It hasn't gone to contract yet. The selling agent is Mary Holbrook. Remember, we donated to her charity auction last year. I can get us a viewing tomorrow. Rachel studies the architectural renderings on screen. Modern lines, walls of glass, the floating staircase. The $5.2 million modern on West Paces, she says deliberately. The one Preston wants. Buy it, all cash. Reese grins, excitement dancing in his eyes. It's time, Rachel. Let's show them what trinkets can build. They spend another hour planning details, knowing the purchase will be through an LLC to keep her name off public records, aiming to submit paperwork before Preston has the chance to make his offer. As they strategize, doubt flickers across Rachel's face. This will change everything with my family. Maybe that's overdue, Reese replies gently. She nods, doubt replaced by determination. Rachel signs the preliminary offer letter, firmly putting her name and worth on paper. Submit it first thing tomorrow, she instructs, standing to leave. Reese watches her go, a mix of pride and concern washing over him. The Walkers have no inkling of what's headed their way, yet neither do they grasp the full extent of Rachel's resolve. A week later, the realtor's heels click against marble as she guides them through the empty mansion, her voice echoing. Reese walks by her side, his quiet comments drawing smiles from Rachel despite the gravity of their actions. The all-cash offer was brilliant, he praises, admiring the floating staircase that seems to defy gravity. They accepted within hours. Your brother never stood a chance. Running her fingers across cool marble countertops in the expansive kitchen, she reflects on their effortless competition. It wasn't even a contest. Preston waits for bank approvals and family connections. I just wrote a check. Morning light pours through the floor-to-ceiling windows, highlighting everything Preston coveted but couldn't obtain. $5.2 million of modern architecture with breathtaking views of Atlanta. The sellers were practically giddy, Reese notes, delighting in details. Said they've never seen an offer come together so quickly. No contingencies, no inspection period. As they ascend the floating staircase, each step feels like victory. The master bedroom dominates the eastern wing, featuring windows on 3 sides and a bathroom larger than her first apartment. This is your kingdom, Reese remarks softly. Standing at the center of the empty room, she allows herself to envision her life there. Her furniture, her art, her undeniable presence. What would be poetic? Reese muses against the doorframe, mischief glinting in his eyes. A housewarming party. Surprised, she turns to him. A party. Not just any party, an unveiling, he explains. Invite everyone who matters in Atlanta, including your family. Let them walk through these halls admiring everything before discovering who actually owns it. She imagines Eleanor appreciating the high-end materials, Arthur inspecting the fixtures, and Preston calculating square footage, all without any knowledge of the truth. That sounds deliciously evil, she declares, a triumphant smile spreading across her face. Over the next 3 weeks, they hastily prepare. Interior designers transform vacant spaces into something uniquely Rachel, overseeing every choice. The perfect gray for living room walls, the feel of the rugs, lighting that casts the ideal ambience. These pieces from your spring collection should be showcased prominently, she instructs, wanting them everywhere. A week later, she receives a call from Eleanor. Rachel, did you get an invitation to? She asks as soon as she answers. To a housewarming on West Paces. I did. It looks intriguing, she replies, suppressing a laugh. Oh, you must come. It'll be a good networking opportunity with Preston's connections, Mom insists. We've already RSVP'd. Preston suspects it's from a tech company downtown. I hang up and Reese raises an eyebrow. They fell for it. Hook, line and sinker. Preston thinks it's a networking opportunity. That evening, as she stands at the top of her floating staircase, the security system announces her family's arrival. Watching through the windows, she notices their contrasting expressions. Arthur slumped, Eleanor teary-eyed, and Preston trailing behind, face aimed at the floor. The distinction between this moment and previous Sunday dinners couldn't be clearer. The power has shifted entirely. I remain steady at the top, my voice clear as I greet them. Welcome, I say. They enter silently, mouths agape. Come in, I invite, turning without waiting for a response, leading them into my living room where I sit in a chair, leaving them to arrange themselves on the sofa across from me. The silence thickens, laden with history. I don't disrupt it. They requested this meeting, so let them speak first. Arthur breaks the silence, hands clasped. Rachel, we need your help. I lift an eyebrow but remain silent. Preston has. He stumbles, looking to Eleanor for support. Mom, I demand, her voice quavering. Preston has lost everything. I mirror her tone. Everything. Arthur nods, the color draining from his face. Our savings are gone too. We co-signed on his investment. Eleanor leans forward, tears streaming down. We need help, Rachel. Just until we get back on our feet. And what precisely did you lose everything on? I turn to address Preston directly. He flinches at the attention, mumbling. A tech startup, a brand called Modern Hearth. I smile coldly, the sensation seeming to freeze my features. Modern Hearth, the company filed for bankruptcy last Tuesday because my company, the Perennial House, acquired their entire supply chain. You bet against me with our parents' money, I continue, relishing the stunned silence. You lost. Arthur's expression twists, while Eleanor's weeping intensifies. Preston slowly raises his gaze, a mix of anger and shame crossing his face. I stand, smoothing my slacks with practiced grace. The conversation is over. I calmly walk to the front door, opening it wide, allowing light to spill onto the marble. Get off my property, I say softly before closing the door with their shocked faces behind me. 3 months later, sunlight seeps through my floor-to-ceiling windows, illuminating the living room I've now made my own. A cashmere throw drapes the sectional, art reflecting deep personal meaning decorates the walls, and fresh flowers sit in a handcrafted vase from my collection. Reese and I are sprawled on the sofa, discussing fabric swatches. The third quarter numbers exceeded projections by 17%, he states, sliding the tablet toward me. Our sustainable housewares line is outselling every other line by 2-to-1. I nod, a genuine smile playing on my lips. No longer a defensive shield but a real expression of happiness. I found a manufacturer in North Carolina, he adds, providing more details. Family-owned for 3 generations, focusing on impeccable labor practices while sourcing materials locally. I consider the implications, though it may come with higher production costs, lowering our carbon footprint aligns well with our branding. The industry award nomination finally came through, Reese mentions casually. His excitement barely contained. About time, I remark, without the bitterness I previously felt toward such recognition. My phone buzzes on the coffee table, revealing multiple missed calls from Eleanor. The room tenses. Reese observes carefully, but I don't flinch. I glance at the screen, recalling the shock and pain etched on my family's faces when I closed the door. My finger hovers above the screen. Then I decisively silence the call, leaving it face down. Let's use the better fabric for this project, I suggest, returning to the cream-colored swatch as if the phone had never rang. Reese nods, understanding what I don't say. There isn't any need for justification. We seamlessly transition back into planning for the future, discussing potential pop-up events and collaborations with emerging artists in a way that feels appropriate, not like a maneuver for acceptance. I now find joy in my business accomplishments, aligning with my principles. The sunlight glows warmly through the spacious windows as we outline plans. I have waited a lifetime to say those words. I have now, and I discover that freedom has a flavor far sweeter than revenge.